Welcome back to this thing that I'm trying out film reviews, film previews. This will be a film preview. I'm going to break down a little bit of Old Dominion. With a lot of these, with all of these, I like to start really high level, and then once we get into the actual film, take a step inside and say, hey, this is what they're actually doing. Old Dominion on offense, I think, is fun. They're a nuisance to play against. Dave Clawson at his press conference on Tuesday likened them to Tennessee. Tennessee's offense underneath Heupel looks a lot like Art Briles at Baylor. All the same stuff. It's all the same crap. And I don't mean crap like it's bad. I mean crap. It's all the same idea. Everyone puts a little bit of their other spins on it, and they kind of go from there. Art Briles was someone who didn't really like running the ball all that much. Heupel's offense has been a lot more brute strength. This one from Old Dominion tries to keep you a lot more off balance. It still has the same sort of rules, but they know they can't necessarily compete physically with Power Five teams, and even compete sometimes physically with some teams in the Sun Belt. So what they like to do is just try to make you overthink things and keep going as fast as humanly possible, so you can't sit there and get organized and be able to defend them. And even if you do get organized, you might just be low on numbers. Defensively, I kind of liken them to what Wake likes to do. So what Wake likes to do is they want to stop you from running the ball. Every team wants to stop you from running the ball, but they put a premium on stopping you from running the ball because that their they know that their corners aren't really that great. It's so they have to sit here and say, okay, we're fine trying to be in third and 12, third and 11s, third and 9s. We can kind of live with that. We just know on these short third and 3s, third and 4s, we don't know if our guys have the wiggle and the juice to be able to stay with upper tier wide receivers, whether it's in the Sun Belt, whether it's just middle tier Power 5, etc. So they really try to place a premium on stopping running the football. I like him in the Wake because I think that's what Wake likes to do on their defensive side of the ball. I think Wake trusts their corners a bit more, but Wake puts a heavy premium on trying to be one of the better run defenses when they're not saying, "Hey, let's just take what the other team gives us." I think Vanderbilt was a good example of we're just going to take what Vanderbilt gives us and go from there, which was cool. AJ Swan kind of stinks. We'll just back off, let him make the mistake. Against Vanderbilt, against an Elon, outside of a busted run, they were very much aggressive in the run game, good on the run fits. That's usually what Wake likes to play. I think stylistically, Old Dominion plays more like an NC State, they have a 3-3-5 look. You can see it right here. There's three down linemen. They have their two of their three linebackers as edge rushers. There's a linebacker here, and then they've got five DBs smattered around the field. They just want to take away space from you. They think that they don't have the horses necessarily, but it doesn't matter if you have the horses all the time if you can just suffocate and just say there's nowhere for you to throw the ball or nowhere for you to run the ball. Just because there's two edge rushers on the end doesn't mean they're the ones rushing. One of them could back off. This middle linebacker could be the rusher. Bring it from different areas. That's kind of their thought process here. So I'm going to look a little bit at what Virginia Tech did successfully and unsuccessfully against them, and look a little bit at what Louisiana did successfully and unsuccessfully.
From Norfolk State, who they're excited to see. Wells, quick throw, and juggled, and
That's one. The first play is usually is something that where stats can kind of lie to you. That corner is pretty beat. The corner is pretty much beat off the line.
Wells, quick throw.
Doesn't get a hand on the ball. Receiver just drops it. So plus for Old Dominion, but that drive should have still kept going. It's what it is.
By Lane. There was some traffic there. Virginia Tech was fourth in the ACC on third down defense.
So one thing about this type of offense is that they are so spread out. This is kind of a basic example, but obviously you see your 5 linemen here, running back, and a quarterback, obviously. That means there's 4 people unaccounted for. They're running a 2x2, so there's 2 receivers up at the top here. There's 2 receivers down here at the bottom. But what that does is it spreads people. It spreads Virginia Tech out. They have to put only 6 in the box because since there's 2 down here, 2 down here, you can't just say no. You can't just say, oh no, we're gonna ignore them. They'll keep a safety in the back in case someone gets vertical, but they can only really have 6 in the box with this setup. So it's still not necessarily plus numbers for Old Dominion run the ball. They're still doing fine there, but it's still less than they would probably prefer.
Defensively at 34% a season ago. Wilson wants to throw, in trouble, and sacked.
They get there pretty easily. One thing I've noticed about Old Dominion is, I think, but not think, both their tackles aren't very good. They're just not. Those 2 guys are not very great. The left guard isn't particularly good either. The center is kind of up and down. The right guard seems fine, but their offensive line is just notably not very good. So I think teams that have a little bit more speed at the defensive line position or strength, just really depending on what your go-to thing. I think people that have one really good quality, whether that's speed or strength, can really do some damage against this offensive line. I look at a guy like Jasheem Davis. I think he's going to be asked to really wreak some havoc on Saturday. What happens here? Only 1 linebacker comes in on delay blitz. 1 stays back in a little spy. Grant Wilson can run, so that's going to probably come up a little bit. But Grant Wilson can run. And honestly, they just kind of overpower it. This left tackle gets just annihilated by Virginia Tech's transfer defensive end. The right guard wins his. It's fine, but that blitzer coming in late really kind of seals the deal here. And even if he doesn't, defensive end's got that dude pretty good. So if you get them off schedule early, which is something you have to do against this sort of line and sort of just offensive scheme, you want to get after them early. There's someone that while they can break a big play, it's not really preferred to them. They have good receivers. They don't have that good at receivers.
At the 48 and the slot to the top of the screen. Catch plus territory at the 48.
This is what I mean about them looking a lot like NC State. This is something that you would think an NC State-led team would probably look like. 3 on linemen, the linebackers are kind of fanning out. 5 DBs, just you're trying to figure out who's going where. They could be trading off. So right now it kind of looks like there's only 6 in the box, maybe 5, depending on what you feel about what you think this guy might do.
Wells, quick throw. This is Lane now.
And they just have to play so far off. They're not someone that feels like they can man people a lot. They really don't think they have the horses there. Different kind of look here. 3 down lineman. Someone comes in as an edge rusher, one of the linebackers. You've got 3 wide receivers at the top, probably one at the bottom. 2 linebackers here. And you have safety kind of cheating up here. So right now you're kind of you're plus numbers in the run game. Even if one of these guys does fan out, he could fan out and try to take a flat here. He could come down, take the flat here. It doesn't really matter which one it is. Right now you're kind of plus in the run game. And while I think Virginia Tech is not a good rushing team at all, numbers are numbers. And right now they're not operating. If it's 7, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're not really operating well there.
9 yards and a first down.
No one ends up fanning out. You can see where this is going. Old Dominion really wants to say, you are not going to run the ball on us. Now, people have run the ball. By people, I mean Louisiana ran the ball pretty fine against them. I think they're in like the 70th percentile. So it's possible. Virginia Tech's not the best example of running the ball on them because I think Virginia Tech can't run block, and I think they're just a bad team.
Quick hand to Tootin. Steps out of a tackle.
Tootin does all that for nothing.
Play clock winding down to 4. Drones gets it snapped. Quick throw. Thomas.
Again, at this point, it's just strength and being an athlete, and I think there's a deficit there. They're not even really that worried about. I know it's Kyron Jones, the backup for Virginia Tech. They're not really worried about him throwing the ball here, which might be an indicative of Drones, but I think it's more indicative of what they want to do. They're just saying, you know, they look like they're going to try to power through us. We're going to stack the box. Be fine. Drones gets a first down here, but it's a lot closer than you think it should be against a team like Old Dominion. Same sort of thing here. I mean, they've got their guys pressing in. They know they aren't great at wide receiver or at cornerback, but they don't really care. They're willing to put guys on the island and just say, let's just stop this. And they do. So this one I'm going to slow down because this is another place where I think stats lie to you, because this isn't some like great goal line stand from ODU, in my opinion. This is just a missed throw. So 83 is just going to be running a little stick route. It's going to come out, boop. And I think for some reason Grant Wells just doesn't keep looking at him. I don't know why. From basically the end of the second to last steps of his drop, he's open, and he just doesn't look at him. But Old Dominion gets away with it. He tries to force throw. Still could have hit him, the running back, but misses that throw too, and points off the board. Red zone roulette is what we call that, and that'll come up a little bit later. Against this team, you have got to be extremely, extremely not dedicated, but you've got to be disciplined. So right here, they've got really 4 to 5 in the box. Got 5 in the box, maybe a 6, depending on what you think about him. More often than not, this guy's probably going to be at least taking the receiver off the line for a second. So he's not really going to factor that much in the run game. So right now it's a 5 on 5. You think that's a pretty good number for the offense.
Running that risk here.
He fans out. You see 22 here. 22 gets a little, and this is just a standard RPO. This isn't even something wow, but it's just a standard RPO. And he gets so aggressive with it that it's just a pretty easy decision for Grant Wilson to just take off. But this play is made because, one, that guy gets too aggressive, but B, look how spread out these guys are. Obviously, you see the 2 guys at the top of the screen. You know, they're in that 2 set. There's 2 more, and they are so far down past. They are basically on the sideline at this point. So 13 here has to fan out. Like, there's no way for him to play a number in the run game. There's physically no way for him to actually do that. So that's just one less number you have for, you know, someone like Wilson to come run out the middle. That's what that spread does to people, is you just having even one less person in the box opens that up. This one's a funky one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a third one down there as well. This is weird, but checks out. But again, they spread them out. You got 6 in here. This safety can't really play in the run game too much because he has to kind of come down here.
Here's Wilson the throw, Granger the catch, and boy, look at the maroon shirts come flying.
And that you got to tackle. They do a good job here. Who's that?
The throw, Granger the catch, and
Kelly Lawson at 15. I know that's Jones. Jones at 15 does a good job of, while he doesn't fully get the tackle, he does enough to make sure there's nothing else that can be done until someone else gets there.
When you've got 300-pounders sprinting out to the perimeter.
Again, spread people out here. These 2x2 stack. Usually when you see these 2x2 stacks, someone's going to go vertical, someone's going to come inside on both sides of the ball. I'll slow this one down really quickly. So you see both sides. One guy comes in, comes in, one guy goes out, one guy goes out. Top guy. I don't think it's a bad thing that the guy on the top for the defense is the one that's going to take the streak. Grant Wilson launches one, and we can watch that one full speed. This is what makes, I think, an Old Dominion offense go further or less further than Tennessee underneath Hooker. And when I think Tennessee going from Hooker to Joe Milton is the quarterback up. And it seems obvious, but Hendon Hooker didn't miss that many throws. And I think early the first game or two, he missed a few throws here and there. But once he really got into a rhythm, this dude wasn't missing throws. Milton has had some issues with that, and that's a question for them going into the game against Florida. But that's the thing with Wilson and this game and the Louisiana game, and even moving forward, is it's not so much that he's not in a rhythm with his receivers, but like sometimes he just overcooks throws. This should be a pretty easy catch, and not just him. He has this guy blazing open, and he misses both of them. And now it's 4th and 8, and now you have a safety. Your plus numbers of Virginia Tech are just, it's so tough running the ball with this team.
Not much there for Tootin. There goes Tootin trying to bounce it to the outside. Got to beat a man.
Yeah, you think you have numbers in the box here. You really don't. You block kind of like crap. This isn't a game you can block like crap in the run game. This isn't a game you can have that in. Like, numbers are already going to be probably neutral at best for you. You can't block like crap when you're playing this team. This thing's only 4th and 2. Here, automatic. Guy's already lost the route. The cornerback's already lost it. Still, he's just very flat-footed. Can't really recover. Wake in the passing game should be able to name their score.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you. 3rd down for Wells. Out of the quarter.
Oh, this one's partially not having the guys to run. This one's partially a evil play. So what's going to happen here is you're going to have this receiver that's close to the offensive line come in a little post, a little drag across the middle. You're going to have this receiver do the same thing. So when you slow it down, you see who's on who. You see this guy at the 10-yard line is going to be taking the slot receiver at the top of the screen, and you see 17 is going to be the one taking the receiver at the bottom of the screen. There's physically no way that the guy at the 10-yard line is going to be able to pretty much get on the hip of the receiver because 17 has to run this way. There's also a ref right there. It's just a great pick play. There's really not a whole lot you can do about it. So even if I think you were faster, it's just a cruel play to run on 3rd down. And he's open, and he's fast enough to get to the end zone. All right. 3rd down, so another 2x2. It looks like Virginia Tech still has 6 in the box. This guy is going to be more in coverage than he is going to be handling a run game.
Wilson a fake. Now going to dump it out to.
So, one thing that has been mentioned about this team before is you're going to have to make one-on-one tackles. It's just going to happen. You can pretty much see what's going to happen here is this guy is going to have to make a one-on-one tackle with the running back. If he does, try is dead. If he doesn't, he's making a 1st down and more. Misses, 1st down. You're going to have to make your tackles. It's a non-negotiable in football already. Extremely non-negotiable dealing with this. These guys also are not afraid to sit here and stack the line and say, like Wake Forest does, and, get a push forward.
Here's Wicks again.
And a big thing, or not just numbers, is you can see, so this defensive end gets his guy, and he tries to kind of crash him down and say, okay, cool, I'm going to push you back towards the offensive line. So that way, this hole and this gap is not, like the running back can't run through there. Now, because of that, you look at the running back, and I don't really like the way the linebacker fits this, but the running back sees this. Their running backs are good enough to be able to bounce around. That like running backs might be a dime a dozen, but they have running backs that can just bounce off of this. He does, and while it's not for a huge gain, still a first down.
Measured to the 39, and that will be enough for another Old Dominion first down. 1st and 10 for Old Dominion. Wilson bails from the pocket here to the right.
He's mobile enough to sit here, and Grant Wilson is mobile enough to sit here and actually like do something. He's not going to be a statue. He's not just going to run because he has to. He can move the pocket and be a halfway decent quarterback.
And here goes Isaiah Page from Richmond.
Same thing from the first time. It just gets exaggerated here. Of the defensive end just kind of tries to throw his shoulder and just blow up this gap so that the running back can't get in there. But since the linebackers are kind of delayed for a bit in coming in because they're trying to see, I don't know why all three of them are kind of trying to spy, but so since they're delayed getting in, this center now can get to the second level. Ineligible linemen downfield just aren't a thing, just isn't a thing in the NCAA. It benefits Wake Forest a lot. Not going to complain about it. But because he can do that, now, just even still, it's an RPO, but it's going to be a handoff regardless. Now he can get his hands on this linebacker, and now the running back can definitely just bounce out, gone.
Here goes Roach. Inside the 40.
And that's only helped, not just because the technique of this edge, but one, because they don't really know if they need to drop back in coverage. And two, because there's not usually would be a seventh person kind of eyeing around here, kind of half in, half out, and you can't have that against this offense.
And here goes Roach. Inside the 40. Now inside Virginia Tech's 30-yard line for Devin Roach.
The open field by Roach. Another read play. You get the open field and
Also, 15, you got to make that tackle.
Wicks again bounces.
This time they get a little too aggressive. Edge comes just real wide. The center and 71 the left tackle doesn't really even put up a fight against him because he doesn't really need to. 63 has to really kind of wall off that defender. And there's still a left guard here and a right guard to take on two linebackers. Anytime you think you can get your hands on a linebacker, if you're a lineman, you win. He doesn't do much, but he does just enough to open up a hole. And that hole is all I need. If one blocks a little better, that kid's still running.
He'll get to the 16 before he got thrown back by Mose Phillips III. And Jalen Stroman.
he said
Quick snap throwing.
to run it. This
They're still running the replays, and this is how fast they go. They're still running the replays. They're still showing the offensive coordinator, and they just can fire a bullet. They're going to go very, very, very fast. You cannot, if you let them get on a roll, they're going to line up so fast that you cannot get organized.
Old Dominion on his own guy. Enthusiastic about the progress that E.J. Green has made at the other linebacking spot. And here's Tootin. Snap low on third down. Wells collects.
This is another just missed throw. There's not really a lot of pressure here. Old Dominion puts a lot on their linebackers. They ask their linebackers to blitz a lot from different angles. They ask for it a lot, and if those guys don't get home,
Third down. Wells collects.
Wells steps into it and just overcooks his receiver.
On the rebound. It will get into the
He also told me he's an Arlington, Virginia native. He has 30 to 40 friends and family in the stands watching him try to pull off this upset, guys.
Well, he's leaning on his run game too, and Obi Sani has a first down for the.
You just have to be disciplined here. The DB comes in hot, and it comes in absolutely hot, but at such a bad angle that now, since there's no one setting the edge here, now he looks dumb and looks bad on film because now I over pursued it, and now this guy's just gonna juke out of his shoes and keep going.
Sani has a first down.
Discipline, discipline, discipline. Like Wake is going to teach discipline. They always teach discipline, but they're going to teach even more here.
100 yards of offense. Virginia Tech just over 100 yards of offense with under 6 to go in the first frame. And Sani.
This is how to be aggressive in an actual good manner against this team. They just come off the snap, They set the edge. You can only block one person as a tight end. You can only block one guy. He gets his guy, but since he's coming in so fast, it doesn't give the center, who I don't think is that great, enough of a chance to really impact this linebacker. Linebacker still gets able to get in there. Boom. So now it's 3rd and 12. Now you're sitting here like, oh no, what do I do? And that's a money down for you. Is you can get there without, you don't have to get any pressure on him. BT doesn't really bother him in this pocket. He's at his launch point. Doesn't really bother him. He launches it, but it's just off target.
On 3rd and long and incomplete. Dominic Dutton was the back safely. And he'll be tackled, pushing the pocket right.
So I'm going to focus a little bit more on the defense because, as you see here, they're going to struggle against Banks and Grimes and Keyshawn. They're going to struggle there. I also think you'll see a little bit of slow mesh because I think these linebackers are going to be asked to do so much that they're going to have to come up, and I think Wake's going to use that as a way to really take those linebackers out of the game. Another example of his offensive line. He doesn't really do too much, to be quite honest, the defensive end here. All he does is just come in on a bull rush and just wins, and 71 can't really put up much of a fight there. Boom. Wilson's down.
Leverage. I'm not sure that he's ever even able to reach him. I think he actually basically
against Virginia Tech. Comes with 99 seconds to go.
Good, and this is them being controlled. The defensive tackle shoots out of his stance. He now has to be double teamed, which takes one of the blockers out of the game. Now you can sit here and kind of play a little more controlled because only one guy can really grab you. That the guy they were double teaming, they went to single teaming now. He sheds his tackle. Bam. I think there's going to be some questions asked of Jasheen Davis and of Kendron Wayman and of Kevin Pointer in this game. They're going to be asked to get off the line quick, be powerful, and they have an advantage in this game. This line, they are better than this offensive line. They need to go out there and prove it. And I don't think it's going to matter if they get tackles for loss. And honestly, I don't think it's really going to matter that much if they sack. I would prefer some tackles for loss, but if you're just getting, you're getting a 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd, like that's more so what I care about. Just can't let it be 4, 5, 6 yard gains every single time. Don't care about the counting stats, just get there. But again, this guy can just, if you aren't careful, and you don't have spy here really. And if he's supposed to be spying, he's doing it completely terribly, but they don't really have a spy here, so no one really comes after Grant here. He can roll out. Granger's good. I think the receivers are better than most in the Sun Belt, and I think a fair amount of the receivers would be good at the Power 5 level. One of the receivers is playing on Virginia Tech, so I know they can recruit good receivers. Another little spread out here, another 2x2. This is so hard to defend against.
Wilson hands to Wicks. First down, 20, 15, and flip.
And do this also Old Dominion also isn't this great running team, by the way. I think they're about elite, NCAA average in terms of rushing yards per game. They're just a little bit slightly above average. I think they're about average in terms of success rate as well. So down the down. It's just when you can get people lined up poorly, and I don't like how this is aligned for Virginia Tech because I think they're just too spaced out and it plays right into what Old Dominion wants to do. Now again, you have that center that can just come around and just take on a linebacker. This guy has to be in coverage because of how they align in the secondary, and I don't like how they did that either. But now it's just off to the races.
15 and flipped over at the 10 as we wind down this first half. Sonny left side
They do a good job there.
Through it, they Now they just have to go out there and finish, guys.
Wilson and the Monarchs from their 25 and
Go out there and
Again, discipline. It's an option. And this edge just, I don't really know why he crashes down 17 here. I don't really know why he crashes down as hard as he does. Three's got him. There's not really much space to run. If he plays a little farther up here, he's got everything contained. I don't know why he crashes down there, but because he's not disciplined enough and is not taught to be disciplined enough to do this, now Grant Wilson has it's a triple option concept at a senses. Now he can just pull it and just run. And just go. You cannot do that against this team. I don't care how not good you don't think they are. If you're not disciplined, they will run all over you.
Wilson flush to his left. And he'll get
It's just a good play from Wilson. They get a little, the defensive ends get a little wide here. And again, like this left and right tackle just are not that good. Like they're not good at all. But he doesn't finish here. And got part of the, you got to tackle, you got to finish there.
Wilson flush to his left. And he'll get the first down, and sophomore at tight end. He's kind of a wing back on the right here for second and short, and they're going to hand the ball to Callaway. He's kind of a wing back on the right here.
No one fills the gap in the middle. No one does. You get, again, the left guard comes up here, takes the DB. I don't know where you're going, big dog. I don't know what hole you're trying to fill here, but you pick wrong. Block. It's a really good block from him. You see this from Wake a lot. Tight end will slide on over, pick someone up. So that's the thing. Like, Old Dominion can sit here and do all this stuff, and the only thing that really saves Virginia Tech from ODU driving down the field on their throats yet again is a fumble. Which, I mean, if you can force that to get kudos. Let's skip ahead towards. Another third and short. Another third down conversion. I think third and shorts are going to be terrible in the open field. Again, not being disciplined. 52. What are you doing here? What do you? I know you want to make a play here, but you have this quarterback has beaten you 3 straight times. At a certain point, you gotta not do that. It seems simple to just say be disciplined, but that's just how simplistic it is. Like you've got to just do your job. This is part of the things of so many more games are lost than they are won.
To Granger, Decker throws a new formation here on first down. They're going to sling it to Granger. He thought about a pass. Now going to try and reroute back here to the near side. Amarian Granger at the 15, the 10, the 5.
Broken play that just, I don't think Virginia Tech's good. That's a 3 week from now video, not a now video.
Forcing it makes a good decision. Everyone rallies, including Grant Wilson.
So now, while third and shorts in the open field are going to be an adventure, I think you can get away with red zone roulette here. Shout out to Bud Elliott, Cover 3 Podcast, good friend of mine. This is something you can't get away with because you just this is where you go. I think you get away with it, but you have to defend this right. When they have 2 people down here and someone's supposed to have the running back, you should know there's a pick play coming because in theory, I believe this linebacker, this safety is supposed to be the person taking this running back. You have to look at yourself and go, if I have this guy and he runs any sort of a wheel route, I have to now work through 4 people of traffic to get to him. He only has to work through just 2, to be quite honest. That's bad. And this is where I go. Like, I don't know what Virginia Tech was necessarily doing on defense. But I think you can get away with red zone roulette. I don't think you can get away with red zone roulette if you play like crap.
And a chance to cut this throw. Bangs it out of there.
So Old Dominion gives up another touchdown. Again, this should be one where Wake names their score. light box here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys. There's 3 wide receivers, which means there's probably one at the top. There's a massive, just a massive opening that gets closed, but even since that gets closed, there's no one setting the edge. They can just bounce this out. And they're only saved again by a fumble.
They scramble at the 37.
I think Old Dominion did a lot down good against this Virginia Tech team, but turnovers just killed them.
Yep, Will Johnson. Now, the big Felton also out there to the and Wilson now. First field goal of the night for Love. Here's Wilson now. This is a 16-point Virginia Tech lead, and Wilson escapes. You've got to have a good spy. A defensive end isn't going to catch him. I don't really know what 25 does trying to engage a running back here instead of trying to cut him off. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing there. I think Malik and Quincy Bryant are going to have, and Dylan Haynes for a little bit too, are going to be the guys you look for to spy. That's just, again, this is an open guy, and just completely misses it, and it's GG. So that's what Virginia Tech did. Let's take a look at what a team like Louisiana, who is probably worse than Virginia Tech. I asked someone yesterday, who would win on a neutral field between Virginia Tech and Louisiana. Their response was Virginia Tech, but I'm not exactly, fervent with that idea. You can kind of see here with Louisiana, they did a lot of what they wanted to do here.
You mentioned Perry, he's in the game now. Fake to him, looking to the outside.
I do not think these corners are any sort of good.
Big offensive 25, and they pushed it down inside the 20 of Old Dominion. Pass out in the flat. It is complete. Jacob Bernard. Let the man try to Brinkley.
This is just a great throw, but
gonna throw it up.
Have some pride, DB.
Try to bring it in. Did he have it?
All right, so what does Louisiana do to start this game off that they shouldn't do? I'll give you one guess. What do they do here that they shouldn't do? And it's not kick the ball out of bounds.
In the whole game last week at Woolridge, he was 5 for 5 on that drive, 57 yards.
Thomas Leo kicks it off.
Bad. If this ball isn't at least to the end zone, bad. Just as the Sun Belt teams are, Old Dominion probably has some of the better talent, like at least speed-wise in it. You can't be kicking things to the 5.
Comes down at about the 4-yard line to Lamarian James. He's got a little space on this near side.
And they can pay for it immediately.
Almost break if you were thinking that one.
All right, so you're basically on your own 40. Same sort of thing. It's kind of exaggerated now, and I'm glad we have the wide angle for this. You see this 2-on-2. Louisiana, they're a 3-down lineman team. They play more like a UGA style or Bama style of there's a 3-down. And there's usually like a jack, which is an edge rushing linebacker, and then there's 2 linebackers here and 5 DBs. But since they can't really have that extra linebacker, they need all the DBs they can handle because Old Dominion doesn't trust their corners. Louisiana damn sure doesn't trust their corners. We see this 2x2. You see everyone's out of here. So now the safety more than likely cannot come down in the run game. Based on how they're lined up, this guy more than likely, he looks like he's on his heels. He's going to back up. So they only really have 5 in the run game.
First look at Grant Wilson. Fakes it. He's looking down the middle. Got a man open. Isaiah.
He cheats for a reason that is unbeknownst to me, considering the coverage they're playing. No, because of the coverage they're playing, I don't know why he steps up. Because as we can see by the catch, the guy who's covering the flat, for more likely than not, doesn't take anybody. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's one more that's hidden up here. Even if you're rotating, this is the middle of the field that's just completely open because you stepped up. And what happens here?
Fakes it.
Middle of the field,
Downfield,
completely
got a
open
man
because you
open.
stepped up.
Isaiah Page hauls it in. Nice reception by Page.
But they're going to have to find a way to get pressure.
And they just go fast and fast and fast.
Under pressure was where they had problems last week.
Going deep. Got Granger
So
open.
we're going to go back and look at this for two
Have to
reasons.
find a way to get
So for the first part of it, and I'm gonna slow it down because I think it's important. We're gonna look at the top of the screen here. You see how, so this is a choice, just talking about their offense, this is a choice option. There is a choice for what these receivers and the quarterback to do. Quarterback makes his choice. Because he makes his choice and his back is to this side of the ball. Once these receivers kind of break, they can say, they see it and they go, oh, okay, I'm going to stop running my route. You see it here. These guys just kind of just stop running a route. It's not because, oh no, like I'm just going to be lazy. They're told to conserve their energy and just stop running. Meanwhile, you see these two guys out here. So they come out of their break and you see this guy on the outside. So his rule is if he's given this leverage inside, he's supposed to run the post. That it's a choice of, okay, this is what the cornerback is giving me. I need to run this way. Even though there's a safety up here, that guy's going to take me. Now, if this guy out here, this is 10 yards. At that 10 yards, if he's about even with this corner, and I'm not making this up, if you're even in the corner, the rule is if I'm even, I'm leaving. And he is leaving. He is just saying, I'm going to keep going. That is the rule. If he is about even with that cornerback and even has an inkling that this guy can't catch him, he's going. That's what Jalin Hyatt made a lot of money on. Was Jalin Hyatt got pretty even with guys at that 8 to 10 yard mark and just said, you know what, I have 4.3 speed. I'm going to keep going. That's what's going to happen here with these receivers. If they see a Deshaun Jones, if they see even a Kalen Carson, Deshaun, DeMarcus Rankin, Jamari Glasser, Evan Slocum, if that receiver at that 10 yard that's supposed to be coming from the inside thinks he is even with you, he is going to take off. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And brings it in for the touchdown.
And then it's up to you to figure out if you're good enough to stop it.
All in by Amari and Granger.
defense. Good. Granger had a couple of
Great
steps
throw.
on the defender.
And I'm gonna skip a little bit past the offense for Louisiana because, again, this ODU team is one that Wake Forest should name their. They should name their price.
Straight ahead.
Yeah,
White blue. There's a first
There was. Hold on.
field. Downfield to drop the flag. So he picks up 5 yards on that play. Make it 4 yards, so we'll call it 2 on the play.
Get down there, they get a field goal, et cetera, et cetera. So now, does
Penn State.
Louisiana learn from their mistake
A head start if you
and,
don't
you know,
have
kick into the end zone?
I think there's only 1 or 2 schools in the whole country even close to that.
It gets worse. He returns it at the 11.
Amarian James with a short.
You cannot do that against this team. You just cannot. Turns it to the 50. This is I don't want to say it's a base set, but this is a set they go to a lot. This 2x2 stack, because then when you stack your receivers, Wake does it a lot too. When you stack them, it forces the corners to really have to think about what to do. Like it's not that hard to pass it off, but it's the fact that you have to pass it off while you're already calling out a bunch of different things makes it just one extra thing for me to worry about, makes this so difficult. The more than likely this guy over here at the top of the screen, this linebacker, is going to have to fan out to take take if someone comes inside. So that means you more than likely have at least just 4, maybe 5 in the run game. If they have 5, he comes late, and that's good. And that's how you're supposed to do that. I don't know if he really is supposed to play that close to the line, because if they throw an out route here, all this dude's got to do is just take one block. But Sometimes it works out here.
This time it goes straight ahead. Keyshawn Wicks maybe making a
Because the whole point of his offense is to make it so that guy can't play both the run and the pass. But it's only 1 yard and they're still going fast. Louisiana's trying to figure things out.
set. Gets it out in the flat. Wicks makes a nice.
That is a nice tackle. They get him off his launch point, which is fine, whatever.
Quick set.
But he can still get out of his hands. Again, you got to tackle. If you miss this tackle, this guy's running. This guy's still running. But he makes a great tackle. That's something you expect Kalen, Jamari Glasgow, and Deshaun, and even a Jalen Garnes to come in and make that tackle. The DBs on Saturday are going to be asked to tackle and tackle well. They proved that they could last week. Gonna have to do it again.
Wicks again, straight ahead, trying to go behind Black. Forward.
Come into play.
All right, 4th and 2.
Fifth offensive play of the night.
4th and short. I think they just have. They usually have people in hell. There are ways to stop it though.
Couple of steps. 4 wide out.
They're not perfect on 3rd and 4th and short.
Blitz is on.
He just kind of gets hit, but they have a good theory here, Louisiana, and it works. The theory works. They try to come outside and bait. Something's gonna happen. Big stunt over the middle.
Left.
I think Grant Wilson still has to throw this ball. He's got to trust his arm here and throw that ball. It's a first down if he takes it. I don't think either of those corners can break on it the way they are right now, but he eats it and gets kind of slapped, but then runs into his own man. You take that and you move on.
Devin Brant Epson at a defensive end spot. First down, quick throw out into the flat. It is very difficult, very difficult. Of the game.
All right, Odie gets the ball back here.
That you're very close to. Runs off the left side, bouncing to the left side.
They do a good job of gang tackling here. They do a very good job of gang tackling here. It's only really 5 in the box. He bounces out. This linebacker actually does a really good job of not committing too hard. So since he doesn't commit too hard and the lineman doesn't actually come up to come get him, he's now able to still fill this gap pretty well and allow the DB's reinforcements to come in and go, okay, it's a run play. That's patience, and that patience will work out as long as you're doing things correctly.
Doesn't take long.
His offense is fast between plays. They're going right back again.
Doesn't take long.
This is the second time of the week I've seen this route and just be kind of muffed by the corner and the safety. So he's just gonna run to the outside here, and the corner that takes him is him, and I think they're just in a zone, but the corner doesn't flip at all, and the safety just takes a horrendous angle. This should be a catch, but he just, again, Wilson just overthrows it. But that's the same play that was a touchdown against Wake for Vanderbilt. The one that Jalen kind of comes over and DeMarcus Rankins underneath.
These first responders, the initial coin flip for this game was done.
3rd and 7, they're down you kind of want them to be in. And you commit a offsides. Good job, team. Now it's 3rd and 2, down they actually want to be in. And it's just, I don't really know why he cuts back inside, but easy first down. It's another offsides. Louisiana played so sloppy. Louisiana's not good, by the way.
1st and 5 from the 36. Probably be the last play of the quarter if the Monarchs snap it.
But the play 9 for ODU, it's because they scored.
So they're spread out the 2x2 again.
Start the second quarter. 1st and 5, going across the middle.
I don't really know what this guy's kind of doing. He seems kind of lost here. Not really sure why he's kind of lost, but he kind of freaks out a bit. Doesn't drop as far as he should. If he drops back a yard or two further, he's got a pick, but wide open.
Going across the middle. Got a touchdown. Start the second.
And this is something I have that I hope that Wake Forest doesn't do too much on Saturday. So just as a background, Glenn Spencer has coached against this type of offense. He coached against Art Briles for about 5 years. Was decently successful against him. Don't run zone. I hate to quote Pat Narduzzi here, but just man their asses up. Virginia Tech felt they could do it. Louisiana, for stretches of this game, felt like they can't. He dropped into a zone. He dropped into a zone. He dropped into a zone. Everyone dropped into a zone. This team, the way this team is run, is just going to absolutely eat a zone alive. They're just going to eat.
That's good protection. They're dropping
Right? You have to be able to play man against this team, unless you are that confident you can get home with your front line.
that much time. He'll find somebody. That time it was Dutton on that dig route.
Jalen Butler checks in. We're number 9 at a tight end spot. Looking to the outside, man.
Yeah, like it's just too easy if you just run zone here.
Outside sideline.
Looking to go to his left. The Cajuns took that away, so he kind of rolls out a little bit to the right. And that's sort of a backside comeback route, and a good job of staying alive by Williams.
Nice pickup on 1st down.
Tell you what, Wilson right now up to 89 yards passing here, just underway in the second quarter. He had 97, 94 in a whole game last week.
Obisani finds a little hole, a little seam, and he.
They're not going to run the ball well every down, but now Louisiana's just kind of scared. And this is also a point of they can't really change their personnel. Their personnel right here is structured for zone, and they're just kind of staying in a zone.
Obisani finds a little hole, a little seam, and he busts
And
it.
they're running it down their throats.
Becomes 202. Difficult to get any run support from the second.
And they're just going to keep doing it until Louisiana either
Straight ahead, nice gain on
does something about it or calls timeout.
big Louisiana is Obisani, but he ain't big. Looking across the middle.
And Louisiana finally just does something about it.
Throws it.
No flag.
And I thought Wilson was going to tuck it and go when he got out to the corner. From the 22-yard line of Louisiana. And it's straight ahead.
And this is a good run. This is a good run. We've still got only 6, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've only got 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they only got 5 on line. There's 6 people committed to the run. They do a good job of being controlled aggression. Like they're not sitting here just running blindly. This guy on the edge has pretty much got him cooked anyways.
Straight ahead and Sonny that time.
That's controlled aggression. And that's what you got to do.
Even an arm like that.
Yard attempt.
Long was 40. Has had some pretty good field position. Not of the best punt. What can affect?
4 wides for the Monarchs. Grant Wilson hands it to Wicks.
I mean,
He's got a huge hole.
It's only 4 people playing in the run game because they don't trust him at all. He backs up a little bit, and since he's that far back, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 people rushing now, and as long as everyone just doesn't completely blow something,
hands it to
it's
Wicks. He's got
a free 10 yards
he's
and
got a
more.
first down and then some before he's finally
Somebody in the middle.
worked the first time. Try it again. Wicks again.
Which is why I don't think that the Louisiana game is necessarily a good representation of how well ODE is going to do in this game. Because Louisiana is just at a pure disadvantage because they had to just abandon a position on their team and put out another body on a position unit they're not strong in. Wake taking a DT off the field to add another linebacker, another safety, they feel completely fine with that. Louisiana doesn't feel like that. even if Wake doesn't pull one off for that, honestly, Wake still feels fine with 4 defensive linemen and can just switch out a second linebacker for a safety. Quincy Bryant's done some pretty good things as well as your kind of spy guy. Louisiana was just at such a disadvantage in this game because they had to completely just change how they want to play defense. I think Wake's a little bit more multiple, and I think Old Dominion's going to score some points because they're going to score 14, 17 points in this game. Like, they're going to score a couple touchdowns. It's just going to be a matter of can Wake just not bust. And Louisiana is just in a position here where they basically have to take one of their best players off the field. And I don't know if Wake's going to be put in a position where they're taking some of their best players off the field. Like, you're telling me Justin Williams is going off the field? I don't think they're they're not super hurt about that. If you're telling me that, you know, a Nick Helbig has come off the field, they're not really fine with that, especially because those guys are being replaced with the Nick Anderson. They're being replaced with, I mean, Malik's already going to play, but they're being placed with, you know, going to have a spot where you have Quincy Bryant and Dylan Hazen and Jacob Roberts are all on the field. Like, that's where that's going to matter. So we're not going to watch this entire thing. I don't like these things going over more than an hour, but there is a really fun play that really kind of encapsulates like how hard it is for this team to do anything. Like, this team can get funky.
The splits of these wide receivers in the light box. Now they're going to safety trying to come down.
It's not a whole lot for Sonny there. Quick snap. Trying to go in the flat. Goes underneath. The pass is complete to Granger. The first time.
Coverage was really good on
Again, they're going fast and fast and fast and fast. So now they send out the tackles. You might think about this close to what the Indianapolis Colts ran that 4th down. This is a better version of this. This shouldn't have. This works. This shouldn't work, but this encapsulates how Old Dominion found just where Louisiana was weak at, and it's in their linebackers and their secondary, and just uses this to their advantage pretty much this entire game.
Got one on the near side too.
This is a just gross and evil formation. And I love it.
On the other side.
Those are both tackles split out.
I want you to throw a pass. We're coming there. We're going back here.
Pick a screen.
This play should be dead to rights here. Absolutely dead to rights. But because they're not disciplined, and I'm going to keep using that word, because they're not disciplined, this happens. They don't get off the field here. Well, it's 1st and 9, but they don't get a 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 11 at this point because he's 3 yards in the backfield. Jukes him out of his shoes. Like, you have to be disciplined against this team. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. They will run you. They will read you like filth. And then not being disciplined, trying to do too much. Grant Wilson gets in. So, all in all, this team is good in the sense that they're not a team that I would think of like, I'm trying to think of an example. They're not a Sam Houston State. They're not a New Mexico State. They're not one of those bottom UConn. UMass. They're not a team that I'm going to sit here and go, oh my goodness, this team is going to absolutely implode and just absolutely kind of A, give up, but B, they're going to make every mistake left and right and just give you a game. Old Dominion is better than that. I don't think they're a great team. They're still in the hundreds in the power rankings that I have and a lot of people have. And so it's not just a one-man take. It's a numbers have agreed this team is just not great. But you still have to be disciplined against them. This isn't going to, if you win, by 15 to 20 points, we're going to earn that 50 to 20 point win because this is a team whose offense really can put some stressors on you. And especially if you're not being disciplined, you're not taking them seriously. They go so fast, so quick, you can get tired so quickly. So I think I think one of the best things that Wake has is something that Virginia Tech has is I think Wake's very strong at the edge positions. I think both edges are great. And Jacine's great. And I think Kendron Wayman has definitely added some good things. He didn't really get to show a lot last game, but I think he's done some good things in 2 games. I think that Wake trusts their corners. They obviously trust Kalen. They trust Deshaun Jones. You're going to need the tackle in this game, and Jamari Glacier has been one of the better tacklers they've had. Evan Slocum's a solid tackler as well. DeMarcus Rankin, here's another step up in competition for you. I think they're also very good at safety, and I think their safeties are good at 1, diagnosing things, and 2, tackling. So I feel great there. I think their linebackers have been more and more improved, and I think that's where this game is going to be won or lost. Is the safeties and linebackers. Is the corners are just kind of going to be is what it is. Don't let the ball get behind you. This is going to be about tackling, and when I think about tackling, I think about your safeties and I think about your linebackers. If the safeties can tackle, if your safety / linebacker, whoever's spying on the quarterback, can not just throw up on themselves, I think Wake wins this going away. It might look less easy than it's going to actually feel like, but this is one where I think Wake's strengths on the defensive line are going to prove to be a lot closer to what Virginia Tech showed and was able to get Old Dominion off the field multiple times than Louisiana, who looked like they couldn't stop a wet paper bag in this game. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Deeks.